Okay, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this morning. This morning, we are going to, well, at the time of the recording, it is morning, and we are going to be playing the second half, or the last half, of the one-shot that we started earlier this week, playing Savage Rifts. Excuse me. And with me to do so is the regular fixture of the podcast, Jeffrey.
Hey, everybody.
So in our last session, well, Jeff, why don't you tell us what you remember about last session?
Okay, so last session, I woke up in a basement, disoriented, and basically my memory was very foggy. And once I sort of started figuring it out, I realized I was a mage from the 20th century. Me and some other mages that I had been working with had attempted to steal a powerful, what was he, an avatar? No, not an avatar, a
herald, or an avatar wouldn't be wrong either. Yeah, it's some kind of like precursor to some much greater evil.
And in doing so, something horrible happened, and this creature seemed to pull me into the future. And so that's where I found myself, was far into the future, after some magical ley lines had opened up all over the earth and wreaked havoc on the earth. And I was in the remnants of a destroyed Chicago. And as soon as I got out of the building, I was attacked by some strange, police officers or whatever they were. And they captured me. And
those guys incidentally looked
characters there.
This. Oh, there we are. Let me get my stupid head out of the way. There we go.
Met two characters there, Wyatt and Doc.
Yeah, Doc Matsuda.
And basically, I had assumed that they were also being captured by these guys would be worth rescuing. So when the Herald attacked our camp and we escaped, I teleported them with myself, and only to discover that Doc Matsuda had alternate ideas, and he pulled a gun on me, and that's where we ended.
Yep. Okay. Good summary. You have, so when we played last time, Jeff actually did not have a copy of his character sheet because we were just revealing it as we were playing through. Jeff now has a full copy of his character sheet, so he knows all his character's capabilities. And I'm actually going to post a link in the video to the document that has his character too. So if you're curious as to what abilities he has and how we built him, he is built as a novice Savage Rifts character. Just for your edification, Jeff, as well, you've played Savage Worlds before. Savage Rifts, the characters have substantially more power to start with than what other comparable Savage Worlds characters do. But they still, one interesting thing though is that they still have plenty of room to grow. There's still lots of edges you might want to get. There's still lots of skills you might want to advance. There's still attributes you might want to boost up. So it's a neat way of providing a character who can do a lot of really kind of cool shit, but still has a viable advancement path.
Yeah. Is my camera blurry?
You look a little blurry.
Stupid camera.
Damn you. Okay, so where we pick up our action is with you in what do you call it? You with a gun in your face.
Right.
So what you see in front of you, and as a reminder, what Doc Matsuda looks like, he's a older Asian gentleman. He's probably in his early 60s, I think. His hand doesn't shake whatsoever. There's a clear determination. He's got these spectacles on, and he seems you see there's beads of sweat sort of forming on his head, and the last words that he has spoken were that so we can't, so that he figured out, or he confirmed from you that the tome that you were trying to recover was the only thing that could block this this herald. And then he said we must ensure that doesn't happen.
Right.
So that's where our scene opens up. And then let me make a quick roll here. You hear a whonk, and Doc Matsuda drops down insensate. And behind him is standing Wyatt, who is bringing his. You can tell that he just employed that big cyber arm of his to the back of Matsuda's head. He looks at you. He says, "What's going on?" And you remember Wyatt has that. Half of his face is sort of cybernetically reconstructed with a red robotic eye, and he's got a blue eye and blonde hair on top.
I said to him, I don't know. I thought he was with you.
He hired me.
You didn't know that he was trying to bring about whatever this herald is it leading in?
No. He hired me to escort him. He's a rogue scientist. He said there was something coming through a rift, and a rift appeared, and I thought it was you.
Well, clearly he's trying to bring forth whatever evil is following this herald.
He reaches down and he says, "Well, as much as they took away Matsuda's gear and stuff like that too, he's got this big silver, dirty silver kind of jacket on." And Wyatt goes down into some of the bags. He's like, "Hold on, it's in here," or not his bag, into the pockets, and he says, "It's in here somewhere. It's here." And he pulls out this book, and it's like an old leather-bound kind of book with a tie around it. It's stained and old, and the covers are fraying a bit, and it's about yay thick. And he grabs this and he tosses it to you. He says, "Can you read?"
Yeah, I can read.
What he'd say is, "Can you make letters?"
Right. Yes.
He kind of gestures like, well.
Yeah, so I take the book from him.
Okay, so you get the book. Well, he sort of tossed it to you.
Yeah.
So you open up the book, and you open inside, and it's a journal of some kind, with complete with sort of illustrations and so forth. If you think of remember the Grail journal from the third Indiana Jones film?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where it's just there's this guy, and it is pictures of some things that you recognize, buildings or cars, from your time. And there are some things that seem to be from some future period, like something that's more advanced. There appears to be some kind of hover vehicles, like a hover cycle that he's drawn of some kind. As you're flipping through the many pages, as you get closer to the middle of it, though, the writing in it begins to get a little more spotty, and as you go along, it kind of degenerates into just sort of drawing of patterns and then random words and some other things. Would you give me a knowledge arcane check for me, please? Let's see if you can make sense of this stuff here. And so, as a reminder, you roll a d6 with whatever your skill is, and then both have the opportunity to explode. You take the highest.
5.
I forgot one thing. Give me a sec here. You got your bennies. And I'm gonna.
Oh, do they recharge, or no? I still have one left or whatever.
So on my weekly trip to what do you call it? The gaming store on Wednesday when we decided to run this thing, I saw this on the shelf. It's Savage Worlds Lankmar box set, and it was marked down. So I was like, all right, well, that'll be I have a hard time saying no to a box set. But one of the things they have in it is these like casino quality poker chips to use as bennies.
That's fun.
So while I'm not certain I'd ever run a Lankmar game, but I mean, who knows? The casino chips themselves made the purchase of the book. I mean, the box sets is pretty fucking cool anyway. And if I was more of a fan of those like Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser stories, that the Lankmar setting is featured in, I would probably really love this thing. It's just that I have not read those stories, and so I don't really give a shit. Anyway, you have two bennies. What is, Fafhrd and Grey Mouser is one of those. It's one of the things like Elric and Tolkien's works and Jack Vance's Dying Earth series that served as and Conan that served as like primary inspirations for what became Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
So it's sort of like there's a level of geek cred you get from from reading those things. And I've gone back and read, like, Conan actually reads it holds up pretty well. They're pretty great. I have tried reading the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser ones, and I did not find that they held up as well. They feel very, very a product of their time.
Right.
So same thing with the Elric books. To be honest, it's kind of a product of its time. So I'm not really, just can't get into it. So it's not that. I don't mean to shit on some things that clearly inspired my favorite hobby, but it's not for me. Anyway, so yeah, you have two bennies still.
Okay, perfect.
So I wanted to set those out. Plus, you say, I'm going to give you another one because you saved the other two guys. So you've got three bennies right now.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, so I'm sorry, I interrupted you. How did you do?
I got a 5 on the roll.
Oh, sweet, great. Okay, yeah. Now that I'm thinking of it, because I was thinking of raises, I did fuck up one thing. So your wizard ability, it reduces the cost of the PPE cost of your spells by 1 per raise you get. So
okay.
when you rolled before and you got like 4 raises or 2 raises, or however many raises it was, because you rolled really, really well. You should have it should have been reduced by 1 for each of those raises. So I'll make sure to catch that next time. Anyway, you absolutely recognize some of these markings. These markings are the stuff that you and your coven found in some of the cults of the Harbinger.
Right.
This is, you think that maybe Matsuda may have been contacted or possessed or something, or at least had some kind of connection with the Harbinger.
Right.
And that would explain with what Wyatt had said that he brought you here. Maybe he actually was coming here to meet that thing, not you guys.
Right. I think I need to make a decision now on what kind of scruples Sam has here.
That's actually a good point. So,
like whether he's going to kill an unconscious Doc or leave him.
So I sent you a copy of the Savage Worlds book, right?
Yeah.
So maybe take a look at if you could pop open that that document and take a look at the hindrances, which is.
It's gotta get my keyboard.
Sure. Just do. Let's see. One of the neat things about Savage Worlds is it's like GURPS and like the hero system to a lesser degree, is you get a benefit from taking like complications for your character. So if you take, they're called disadvantages in GURPS, and they're called complications in the most recent edition of the hero system. And GURPS, they call them hindrances. And what they are is basically like, interesting little role-playing things that may have a mechanical benefit in terms of getting new bennies. And they help shape your character's personality, which is, I think, something like, we don't do this in games like D&D and stuff like that, other than just like the loosest of role-playing stuff. But I think it's great because it really, it makes the characters more believable and flawed than the sort of like the types of characters we sometimes see in other role playing games where you're just playing whatever is for the benefit of the party or for the benefit of the whatever. So the hindrances what I'm going to suggest is you pick a major one and and up to 2 minor hindrances. Because these will just help you, I think, figure out maybe what this guy's personality. Now that Sam is the shock and the immediate upset of having gone through the what do you call it, the rifts and the losing of all of his entire coven, including the coven leader who used to have the staff.
Right.
So things that one I can give you that's an easy pick is now that you're in this world, I think you've got a major enemy of the coalition.
Okay, that's the guys there that.
Yeah, the Deadheads.
Right.
The coalition loathes spellcasters, like shoot on sight loathes. That's why Doc Matsuda was a little surprised that you were taken alive.
Right. Well, I mean, there's another one here that might be interesting, which is vengeful.
Yeah.
Your character always attempts to right a wrong he feels was done to him. If this is a minor hindrance, he'll seek it legally. If it's a major hindrance, he'll kill to see it done.
Okay.
Now, and so I'm just saying, like, if vengeance is something that he has as a character flaw, that this is a situation where now he may. Doc was about to shoot him. Doc was going to kill him, so he may feel it's totally legit to just like kill him, even in his unconscious state. Like, why leave an enemy alive? One who is, into this harbinger or whatever. Like.
Yeah,
he could be a dangerous enemy if he leaves him alive.
So if that's the case, if the character does have a major vengeance trait where anyone who crosses him is going to die, why would he be involved with a coven? I just like that level of vengeance would strike me as something that would make you a real loner and.
Well, why? Because I'm saying, like, this level of vengeance. Well, I mean, not very many people want to kill you, though, Kev.
Yeah.
I'm saying this person was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, it's an eye for an eye level of vengeance, though, as well. Like, in your everyday life, not very many people even steal from you, let alone try to kill you.
No, but your character doesn't come from. I mean, given your past as an occult, whatever. Like, it's not the first time that someone's tried to kill you, necessarily. I don't want to talk you out of the vengeance thing. I'm just saying, like, to give proper context for it, like you would have had like evil cultists and things like that would have tried to kill you before too.
Right.
Rival occult orders, stuff like that. It's fine if you like. There's a certain level of vengeance. Just that the major level of vengeance seems to be to the like, you look at me funny and I'll put you down kind of thing. Because it says you will kill to rectify your perceived injustice.
Right.
Well, that's not true. No, it's not as capricious as I'm saying. It's saying that you're willing to take extreme measures to have someone put you out. I'm just thinking of like what this would mean is that it would be a moral struggle for your character to have someone who has wronged you surrender to you. And that's fine.
Right, like, and I'm saying I would take it to the level of it depends how they had wronged me.
Yeah.
Like, in this case, it's someone who was going to shoot me, as opposed to someone who was just, trying to imprison me. Like, so now the guards, I would be vengeful to the guards that like to these guys that captured me.
Yeah.
If I were to run into them again.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't just let it be. I would probably attack them.
Okay. So
I don't know. We can see how it plays out. I mean, it might be a little too.
Well, let's see. We'll put it on vengeful major. I mean, he is probably suffering some kind of trauma right now from, you know, this is his first opportunity to catch his breath. Well, it was going to be, and then suddenly this happens again. Now Wyatt has sort of diffused that situation. So,
right.
And it's not inconsistent with this world either, to be honest. Like, this is not a the way that I'm thinking of Rift's Earth is not like, it is not a, you know, soft corners kind of safety thing. Like, this is how they would normally. You're absolutely right. This guy was going to kill you.
Well, and also, Kevin, this might be a new manifestation for him. Like, maybe he was a little bit vengeful in his old life, but truly now he does feel alone. Everyone he knows or everything he's ever known is dead and gone. He is a complete loner now. Like, and you know, so maybe this is a new level of vengeance that he's felt for the first time in his life.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. Plus, he's also got a phenomenally greater level of power that's coursing through him now too. So, the idea of being that powerful and feeling like maybe consequence free, maybe affecting his judgment as well.
Right. Like, maybe he was minorly vengeful in his previous life, and he would have, you know, used legal means or political.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love that.
To try and gain thing, but now he's feeling it for the first time because the thought that surges through his mind is, I'm going to kill this Doc Matsuda.
Okay. What about minor ones? Are there any minor ones that jump out at you? There is a summary page on in the book as well. I don't know the page reference on the copy I sent you, but minor ones would be things like all thumbs, where you're crap at repairing equipment. Anemic, where you get a penalty to fatigue tests. Bad eyes, where you've got, you know, difficulty seeing distances.
So is it too much? Like, is it not a minor hindrance to set those other guys as my enemy still? They're too major?
No, I'll keep that as a major as well, just because of the power level of the coalition makes it count as a major. But to be honest, I think you get that as a ley line walker automatically. So
okay.
This is in addition to, because the coalition will tolerate psychics, but they absolutely hate, like, there's no quarter given for any mages. Let's see your other minor ones. Death Wish, you want to die after completing some task. Doubting Thomas, you don't believe in, well, that doesn't make any sense. You don't believe in the supernatural. Cautious, you're overly careful. What else? Mean, -2 your charisma for ill temper and surliness, but that doesn't seem to be how you've been playing the character. Loyal, you try to never betray or disappoint your friends. Hard of hearing, a penalty to your notice checks for sound. A habit, which is just something that can be off-putting to other people. Greedy. A quirk, you've got some minor but persistent foible. What do they give examples?
So what about a minor delusion?
Sure, what would that be?
That he believes that he can return to his life in Chicago.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's probably no possibility of it. I'm guessing in reality, like, that's like backwards time travel. That's, you know, craziness, right? So, but he believes that he can succeed at it. So,
well, and that's also awesome. I mean, like, you can see how that would, and again, this is one of the, I think, the things that's neat about Savage Worlds. That what you've given me here is vengeful is a great way of motivating a character in the short term, in terms of like the ongoing story. Like, as the story goes along, that's a great motivator for, like, I know if I do something, then it'll trigger your vengeful, and you would play your character that way. And then the delusion gives you the motivation. You can see how like it's like the pursuit of the one-armed man in The Fugitive, right?
Right.
You know, it's the goal that you're going after. Is there another one you can find, or is that good for now?
Well, since I took basically 2 majors, that's probably enough for now.
Yeah, you can take it. I mean, you still can take
If I think of another one
minor.
later, I'll.
Sure. Okay. So knowing now sort of what type of character Sam is, what does he do?
He yeah, so I don't know if he would. I mean, this guy also, this Wyatt character just saved me, so I'm not sure that I want to do something. That the other question is sort of like, I'm not sure I want to do something so, you know, evil, basically right in front of him.
Yeah.
Well, first I'll draw power back in from the ley line.
Okay. So you're take a moment to raise your hand up, and then there's that bluish glow of energy that sort of swirls around your hand, and you feel yourself topped up. So you're back up to 60 ppe.
So then he says to Wyatt, he says, "So do you have no allegiance to this man?"
He says, "Well, he owes me half the rate, but if he's in league with that thing."
What is your laws on murder in this time and place?
He kind of looks at you quizzically, like, "What do you mean?"
Well, I don't see any reason to leave my enemy, alive at this point. He could interfere with my options of closing this gate and stopping this herald.
He raises his hands and says, "That's between you and him."
Okay, then I will use my electric bolts. What's the spell called?
Lightning bolt?
Yeah, lightning bolt. And hit him with it.
Depending on how much power you put into it, he's either a charred husk or he explodes.
I think I'll just leave him a charred husk. I won't try to explode his body.
So there's what do you call it? You as Wyatt takes a step back, you look down and lightning begins to sort of play across your out your eyes and down your hands. You speak some arcane words, make some gestures, and then you reach your hand out. Electricity arcs from that into Doc Matsuda's body and just scorches and fries the whole thing, leaving that silver jacket of his burning behind and a blackened husk remaining where he was. So Wyatt then steps forward and says, "Now where?" I think that I wanted to check one thing because this is sadly like a real world thing. I was trying to check.
Like where we would actually be going.
Well, it's a foolish. Well, not foolish, but I'm a little embarrassed to say it. But I mean, I don't know which of the Great Lakes. I think that Chicago's on Lake Erie, but I can't remember. I can't say I don't think I ever knew. Like, it's not some piece of information I would ever look up, but I don't know what Great Lake it's on. So
yeah.
I need to look that up. Where are we here? Chicago, where are you? Just drawing me much more west than I need to be. Come on, Google Maps, work with me. There we go. Okay, so I wonder if it's Lake Michigan. What lake is it? What lake is it? Tell me. Tell me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Hey, Google Maps. Be more helpful. Jesus. All right, Google Earth, be more helpful. Jesus Christ. How does this service not label the damn bodies of water?
Really?
Yeah, it's just not coming up. It's not labeling any of the Great Lakes. I guess I can just... Here we go. What Great Lake is Chicago on? There we go. Lake Michigan. All right. So clearly, so I have put 0 levels into geography. So my apologies to those at home who had to suffer through that. So it's he's looking around. He says, well, I think Lake Michigan is in this direction. The Coalition Navy patrols it, but if we stick close to the shoreline, we can get through to the far shore and make our way to Northern Gun, and then you can go from wherever you want. Gets us out of Coalition territory.
Okay, that's a great plan, but first we must make it back to the basement where I arrived and retrieve this book.
Wyatt sort of looks at you and looks down at Matsuda and says, "Look, I'm not with him. I don't want to support what he was trying to do, but I got to get paid, and I can't get paid if I'm dead."
No, and nor can I offer you any payment. You're free to go your own way.
He kind of, is waiting up for a moment, trying to size you up and see whether you're actually going to let him go. He sort of looks around. It's all right. He turns and he sort of backs away, still watching you, and then turns and at first opportunity starts kind of racing away and sort of disappears into the ruins.
Okay.
All right. So now why don't you give me a common knowledge check? So it'll be your smarts check with your wild die. And you're going to add +2 to it because of your bonus you get from geography checks or local geography checks. So you can figure out where you are.
Roll that again. 8. So that's a 10.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a raise. You can tell that you're about maybe 2 miles or so away from where you the basement was that you were that the ritual was cast in, or the binding ritual originally, where you appeared is what I mean.
Yeah.
So I guess you recognize the field where you are. Do you think did Sam grow up in Chicago?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that's where he's from.
Okay, so you probably played ball here. So
Yeah.
there's a bit as you're sort of looking at the ruined field and the remnants of the twisted remnants of the stands. There's sort of a brief flashback to the time before the Rifts when you as a kid played softball on a team here. So you recognize we pan over and we see the remnants of the name of a school, and it's a school you recognize. So you're able to sort of situate yourself from here. You also really can't believe that this, so much of the city has been devastated so thoroughly.
Right.
So, what's your plan? Excuse me.
I guess it makes sense to just use the staff. There's like no limit to it, really.
For the teleportation?
Right.
Can you make a notice check for me, please?
Sure.
Note.
I'm just thinking, like, I'm not really an athlete, so running 2 miles or whatever. I guess I could walk 2 miles, but I got a 2.
You got a 2. Okay, so you're walking along, and so you're sort of like trying to figure out what you're going to do. And unfortunately, you're sort of lost in reverie, so you don't hear the sounds of the engines. But then you hear. I'm trying to think if they would give a warning or not. Yeah, I think that's just what we're going to draw initiative cards, because it's sort of, you realize at the last second that there's this roaring sound of an engine coming from overhead. And let's see here. So for you, you got a Jack of Diamonds, and what's attacking you got a 2. So you're up first. So you spin around, and you see what do you call it? That there is. You think it's like a squat, blocky form of a man, but there's a glow coming from behind it, and there seems to be like little wings that are jutting out from the sides, and you see 2 of these things come screeching down towards you, and this is what they look like.
Holy crap!
Wait for the camera to focus here. Here we go. Whoop. There we are. Boom. Oh, come on, focus.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So screeching down towards you. What do you want to do? You're up first.
First, I guess my initial reaction is to cast my armor.
Okay. Okay. So why don't you give me a sorcery check for that, and just I'm going to assume that you'll track what your PPE use is, whether you're doing the Mega Power version or the regular version.
Yeah. Okay. So sorcery is a D10. Oh. Let's see, what does it say? So on a success, I would gain 5 armor.
Yes.
I got a 4.
A 4. Okay. So remember, you've got 3 bennies as well too. If you can either get extra effort from, where you roll an extra D6, or you can re-roll altogether.
Right. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I might as well re-roll, because an extra D6 is as likely to give me a raise, I think, as a re-roll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's an 8.
8. Nice. Okay, so you got a raise on it, which means the cost is reduced by 2.
Yep.
And you get 10 armor then. So your toughness is now a 16, and it's mega damage. So the what do you call it? You see this, and instinctively you wave your hand, and a protective ward's kind of like will flare around you. Okay, then it's their turn. So this thing, it sees the manifestation of the power, so it knows what you are. So it's going to open fire, I think. So it's shooting. It's that. Okay. Okay, so we got 1 hit. The giant gun opens fire on you, and the sound is I don't think there's not. It's a rail gun. It's not a like a explosion kind of like rat-a-tat-a thing, but there is a sound of like these hypersonic rounds leaving the end of the gun. Yep. So it's this kind of like cracking, humming sound. I'm trying to find I'm stalling here, trying to find the damage of the weapon. Where is it here? Samus. There we go. Okay, light railgun.
So how does like the 2 hit and damage work in this?
How does sorry?
Well, like, so how do they know if they hit me or not? Do they have to beat my toughness, or is toughness?
No. So hand to hand, they have to beat your parry. At range, they just need to beat a 4. unless you
Oh,
do
okay.
something different. There are a bunch of edges that modify that. There are circumstances that modify that, like, you know, darkness or light or whatever. Like, for instance, the obscure spell that you can cast with your staff can grant -6 to their sight-based things, including range attacks.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So now the damage is against my toughness.
Yeah, and the damage is against your toughness, and then you roll that, and then if they beat your toughness, then you are shaken, and then for each raise they cause a wound.
Right.
So, and then you can spend when you are shaken, you can either make as your action, you have to make a spirit check to try and recover, or you can spend a Benny and then just recover automatically and then take a turn.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. The one criticism I have of the game as printed is that for all the robots, like the robot suits and stuff like that, they use a common chart. Like, rather than having descriptions for each specific weapon on each specific thing, they just say, like, all right, it's a light railgun or a medium railgun or a medium laser or a, you know, heavy missile launcher or whatever, which is all found on one chart. But they don't give you the fucking stats for it for each of the power armors. So you have to constantly refer back to this.
Mm.
It's a minor inconvenience, to be honest, but I mean, it is just a bit of a irritants. Okay, so then I know what the damage is now. All right, so let's see how he does. That is a 12, 16. 16 versus your toughness, which is just on your toughness at this point. Yes. So I think I have to. I don't know if I have to hit your toughness or beat your toughness. Let me just quickly double check that. Because once I look it up, I will not have to look it up again. Damage, here we go. Success. Okay, so you're not damaged by this thing, but it kind of, you know, rattles you back, and it's, you know, blowing up the dirt and the sod around you. I'll make the shot for the second guy. Second guy hits once as well. Let's see. That is a 14, so no. He what do you call it? So the second one hits. You're hit by a bunch of these rounds, and the net effect is kind of like getting hit by a you know, I don't know if you've ever like been tackled or like, you know, hit with like a soccer ball or something like that that's been kicked at you. Like you just had the wind knocked out of you. Oh, so you are shaken. Okay, so next round, you get a ace.
Nice.
And they get a 8.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so because it goes in, unfortunately, reverse alphabetical order here. So in terms of the suits, that's right. How you determine. So aces, the ace of spades is higher than your result, so they get to go first. But I think that what they're going to do is fly over and then circle back and see whether you have been whether you're, you know, still up. So let's make a notice check for them, and then we'll see if the target is down or not. Their notice is not great. These guys, incidentally, Jeff, these are not what do you call it? Wild cards. Like, they're not like you where they get to roll an extra d6. They roll only whatever their attributes are.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay. You're still standing when you're shaken. So you're one of them says he's still up, and he's going to try and shoot again. But it's harder. Yeah. So with the penalty to hit, one of them sort of fires at you again, but it goes wide and sort of, you know, you see bits of sod exploding up around you. All the field around you has been chewed up at this point as well by that railgun fire. But now it is your turn. What are you gonna do?
Okay. Does he any cover, like?
Well, the first thing you need to do is you either need to spend your turn So okay, here's what you need to do: is either make a shaken check, and if let's see here, I think it's if you succeed. Hold on. If you succeed, I believe. You're no longer shaken, but you can only perform free actions. But with a raise, you get to act normally. So you can either spend your turn making that spirit roll to try and recover from being shaken, or you can spend a Benny and automatically recover, and then take your turn normally.
Okay, I'll spend a Benny.
Okay.
And is there any, like, you know, old rubble or a building or anything around, or a tree?
Yeah, there's, I mean, there is the, what do you call it? The school itself. There still is some. It's for the most part still standing, and because we set up the sort of the flashback there, I think you're maybe at least you can sort of have the half memory of what the layout of the school was like, at least back in your day.
Well, I'm just going to teleport over to, like, the corner of the school, like the corner of the building or something. I just want some cover.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Teleport is just a you use it as your move action, or not your move action, but as your move. So just make your teleportation check.
Okay. So I just roll sorcery again?
Yeah, just roll sorcery again. And it's just if you roll a 1, there's problems that come. But
okay, I got 5.
Beautiful. So you what do you call it? Once again, you look up, and then there's this you gesture with your hand. There's a flare of energy, and you're gone, and you appear next to the school. You still have your action. What would you like to do?
Okay, I will shoot a lightning bolt.
Okay. So go ahead and make your check. Oh, and then determine how much PPE you want to juice into that, and what kind of bolt. Do you want to do? You can do up to 4 bolts, I think, with your mega power, or you can do one bolt that does
bolts.
Sure. Which one?
Yeah, one at each of them. I'll mega power it, and so it's 2 3d6 bolts for 2 PPE each.
Okay.
So I roll. Oh, it's a 9. That's good. So that's 1 raise?
9 is 1 raise, yeah.
So then it cost me 1 less?
Yes. It costs you 2 less, actually. Because
right. Yeah.
You've got a background from your hero's journey roll that reduces the cost by 1 when you get a raise, and you're a wizard. You're a wizard, right? Harry.
Okay, cool. So then they take 1 at each of them.
Okay.
So now I roll to hit them, or is that what the spell roll does?
No, I think that's what the spell roll does. I'm just double checking that here. You just got me thinking about that, and I think
it would be weird to roll it again.
It would be no, because I mean that's 2 opportunities to fail then, and that doesn't. I don't think that's what's intended.
That would seem pretty hard to use ranged spells.
Yeah, I think what it is I think that the target number of your spell casting roll is the the target number to hit them.
So it's 3d6 versus each of them?
Yes, and they are what size are they? They're actually, I think, +2 to hit as well. So yes, it's 3d6 against each of is it 3d6?
Yeah.
Against each of them, I think, yeah.
That's for the mega bolts.
The mega damage bolt, yeah.
So roll it separately.
Yeah, so there's this, you cast your thing, and these 2 lightning bolts.
Do the dice explode on damage?
They do, absolutely. You don't roll your wild dice. Don't roll the extra dice, but you do explode.
Right. Well, I rolled a 5 and 2 6s on the first one.
That's awesome.
So that's 17 plus another 5. So it's 22 damage from the first one.
Holy shit. Okay, that is okay. Remember I mentioned last session that there are minions, and that minions, once they take a wound, like they're shaken and then they're dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happened. So one of the bolts goes, it strikes, casts up, it plays across the back of this power armors, thrusters. We see sort of briefly in the from the view of the pilot, that sort of Iron Man view where all his displays are going and frying out, and he's like, "What the? No, no!" And then the thing goes down out of view, and you hear this dull explosion. Go ahead and roll damage against the second one.
Second guy. Oh, that's another 6. So that's
Oof.
8. 14 so far.
14, okay.
15.
15, okay. That one is less successful. This is against the guy who spotted you again, I think. So you definitely hit him, but it sort of plays across the armor, and then that armor just kind of keeps, it arcs in the sky and then begins to like zooming in towards you. And you can see that the railgun again sort of is trained on you. So next round, let's see. You get a 9.
Ooh, that's a decent card.
They get a 3. So you're up first.
Sweet.
Okay, so what are you gonna
do? So before I kind of like shot a lightning bolt with each hand.
Yeah.
So this time I turn at him. He survives it. So when I turn at him, and I kind of make a bigger lightning bolt and shoot both hands at him.
Nice. Okay. Remember, you got your staff in your hand still too.
Oh yeah, sorry, the staff.
Yeah. So you bring it back. Lightning begins to sort of arc around on the ground and then pull up towards you, like you're pulling the static electricity from the ground, and then unleash your bolt. Is this? I take it a 6d6 damage one.
Yes, the 66 shot.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack roll or your spellcasting roll.
So this costs 4 PPE. Oh, I got a 10. And a 1. So I got an 11 for the roll.
Okay, so here's the badass thing with combat. When you get a raise in combat, you do 1d6 extra damage.
Oh my goodness.
So you're doing 7d6 damage.
Yeah, this isn't going to go well for him.
No, it's not going to go well for him at all.
Really? I'm almost out of d6s that I have sitting here. Oh, God. 5, 10, 20, 22 with 2 6s.
Okay, that's actually enough.
So it's 30 total, just for
32. Okay, so I think that your lightning bolt is so powerful. Like first off, it lights up the field as you unleash this massive gout of electrical energy at this thing. You hit the power armor in flight, and you actually knock it like sort of back and askew. So it pinwheels through the air and then explodes into shrapnel in air, and bits of it sort of fall down near the parking lot at the back of the school. So there's sort of a whoa, 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 whoa echo of thunder that peals out from around you. What are you gonna do? How much PPE did you use?
Out of here. He looks at him. He thinks to himself and says, "Why is every person in this world trying to kill me?" And he then he goes with the plan that he had before, which is like just short teleports, so always within eyesight. Like it's just much faster than walking.
Okay, sure. The downside to that is that that basically means there's a 10% chance each time of a potential mishap. Because remember,
maybe I'll just walk then. I mean, walking 2 miles takes 15 minutes or whatever it is.
Oh, no, ignore me. Oh, yeah, there is because the
right. You're technically still rolling sorcery every time.
You know what I'll just do is that takes away a pretty cool. I guess. Well, here's the thing. I think that will allow you to do your approach, because it's cool and it's with the abundant availability of PPE, it's not like you're going to run short anytime.
Right.
The thing is, it does make that manifestation each time, the like flash of light and then the flash of light and
which could draw attention.
Yeah. So let's do this. I think I'm going to make it a chase. Or I don't know if I showed you this last time, Jeff, but this is the GM screen I got with the Kickstarter.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's pretty cool, eh? Yeah, because I sorry, I'm muffling myself here. Because we always play online. I never really make use of these anymore.
Right. Now you should have it set up over the bottom half of the screen.
Yeah, really, I'll do that. There we go. Now I can't see shit.
Yeah. No, I meant of the camera, not of your monitor, of the camera screen.
Oh,
so everyone at home, if you lift it up a bit like that, yeah. Just always over a DM screen.
Have the what do you call the chyron on the bottom of the screen, like a news feed.
Yeah.
This just in: bursters and glitter boys found in downtown Chicago. I don't know why they would sound like a 40s newscaster, but what I was looking for here is, yeah, okay. So I think what we'll do is there's a cutscene. I need to grab a refill of my coffee in just a second here, but we see a cutscene of the remnants of. So you begin to teleport, and you're doing that. We see a cutscene where we cut back to that that campsite that you were in before with all the deadheads.
Yeah.
And a guy walks up to one of the deadheads, complete in his armor, walks up to someone who has a slightly different looking armor on. They're otherwise indistinguishable because of their helmets and stuff like that. And says, Captain Wallace, the area is secure now. And he says, well, and how many casualties? And he sort of, shifts his shoulders as if he's uncomfortable to answer, and says, "It was 12, sir." And he says, "Bring me Zeke." And you see the soldier walks over to that white-skinned guy that you saw before with the black, black markings around the eyes and the opaque eyes. Brings him over. He's talking to his dogs. It looks like at least two of those dog boys are down as well. But Zeke walks over and he salutes the captain, and he says, "Zeke, this wrong cannot go unanswered. You understand that, don't you?" And Zeke says, "Sir, I do." He says, "You've got to find him then. Find me that mage." And he says, "I will, sir." And he gets this look of kind of steely determination on his face. And then he turns and he whistles, and all the dog boys sort of look up, and he's like, "We're on a hunt, boys!" And the dogs all start, barking and howling. And then we cut back to you. And you're making your way across the, you reappear again, and you're slowly making your way towards where the what do you call it? The book was found. Actually, I'm just going to take a very quick break right now. I just want to grab more coffee.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Okay, so I'll be right back. Let's just take maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sorry about that. So I think what we'll do is I'm gonna handle this like a chase. I think.
Oh, Kevin, just for the record, just so you know, pacing wise, I can play till 1 o'clock.
Till 1 o'clock. Oh, okay, cool. So then that gives us another 50 minutes. 50.
Yeah, 50 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, then. Where
I don't
we
know how far you want to get, if you want to finish or what.
I'd like to try because I mean if you're interested in playing this character again, I mean I've had a fucking blast playing or prepping and running this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
However it works out, like.
yeah. Okay. So yeah. What happens is you're sort of making your way across here, and would you make a notice check for me, please?
Okay. Noticed it. Oh, that's a good 6. 11.
11. Okay.
So I'm being much more cautious.
Yeah. So you're as you appear, you're sort of studying not only like the area around you, but also the sky, and then you spot it, and there is very very high up. There is probably maybe 100 yards up. There's another one of those sort of power armor things that seems to be like tracking you. And you realize, oh, and then you sort of crane your ear to the side, and you can hear the sounds of like howls and whatnot in the distance again. So what I'd like to do is deal with this as a bit of a chase. Sorry, the way that chases work, well, there's two ways you can run chases in Savage Worlds. You can run them as a specific sort of like, moving miniatures kind of thing, or you can run them as an abstracted one. And we've done this before in the, what do you call it, Hell on Earth game that we ran.
Yeah.
Right. And like I remember it being really, really fun there.
Yeah, let's try it out.
So, okay, so I think what we'll do is we determine, so the length of the chase is going to be, we'll say 5 rounds, just because we're going to abstract this out, and I don't want to, drag this out too long. Excuse me. What we do is you pick a skill that you're using, and I think that they are going to be using survival to try and track you, and you're going to use sorcery because you're trying to get your teleportation spells off and maneuver yourself to keep away.
Right, like try to make sneaky teleports to try and lose them.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to get you to do is make a trait check. So make a check, and then you will draw a card for each success and each raise, and that will tell you what how they'll tell you not only your initiative, but how well you managed to maneuver in that round. So it's kind of abstracted. We have to sort of interpret the results. Okay, so for them, let's see here. The Psy Stalkers have, actually I'll use the dog voice because they got a much better survival check and they get a bonus. So I got just a success, no raise for them. Go ahead and make your sorcery check and let's see how you do.
Okay, so this is round 1.
This is round 1, yes.
And Kev, of note, I'm also trying to mask a little bit the direction that I'm heading, like to not make it obvious that I'm trying to return to the house where they found me. Because they did find me there.
So the combination of your bonus that you get to streetwise and survival checks and the bonus you get from the common knowledge rolls, I'll give you a +2 to this check. Because one of those things would, I think, in combination, those things would all apply. Like,
essentially, I know these old neighborhoods a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Plus, you're also kind of, yeah, that's exactly it. You know these neighborhoods like the back of your hand.
Okay, so my first result is an 8. That's 1 raise.
So you get 2 cards. So your 2 cards are a 6 of hearts and a 6 of diamonds. Oh, so it's the same fucking result. So what that means is that let me see here. Taking you maneuver.
It's pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get to act before you, but I think that they are at. Okay, so let me see here. Sorry, I should have read these rules through before committing to them. Okay, so complications. Oh, if it's a club, they face complications. Okay, good. All right, so actually, you know what? So they do get very, very close to you, but they suffer a complication, which is a distraction. So I think that you've successfully done what you hoped to do, which is to make use of sort of the ruined remains. There's like you knew that there was a small strip mall nearby, and it's just a hollowed out shell at this point too. So you're sort of scrambling through the you appear and then scramble through the ruins a bit, and then cast your teleportation again and appear on the far side. Right. So you manage to sort of conceal the like bright flash of energy that announces your arrival. Okay, so that actually helps you here. Let me see here. Okay, so they have advantage over you because they've got a higher card than you. And then what is the sorry? One thing I don't quite understand is how. Because of the range they're at. So these guys are actually almost right on top of you, it seems. Okay, so because they have advantage over you, that means that they get to whoever has the highest result, that dictates the range of the encounter. Okay. And then they can attack. Yes. Okay. So but they've been distracted. So this is what it. So there's sort of like you hear that that power armor that was chasing you kind of close down, and then you sort of teleport out, and there's this you can hear the sound of that railgun smashing the remains of that strip mall where you were. But you sort of managed to disappear, and you can see that there are briefly through the holes in the wall, you can see the forms of the or the silhouettes of those dog boys that are racing along. But you once again you activate your teleportation, and you manage to keep the lead on them. So that's round 1. Let's do round 2. They are going to now use their agility. Oh no, they're going to keep using their survival because that's it. And you go ahead and use your. They did not do well. I'll spend one of my bennies to re-roll that because that was fucking awful. Okay, so they get to draw 2 cards. And how'd you do?
Oh yeah, sorry. I should just be rolling. Oh, nice. I got a 10. Oh, and an 8. That's an 18.
Holy shit. Okay, so an 18 is 1 raise is at 8, 2 raises at 12, 3 raises at 16. So you get 4 cards in total. So nice. Let's see, these are your cards. Let's see what you get.
Nice. I got an ace.
Yes. So ace is the highest of the ones that you drew.
It's actually the highest ace left in the deck. I don't know if you're reshuffling after each.
No, I'm using a different deck. The initiative deck is still separate. Okay. Once you draw a joker, there's a special thing that triggers, and then you reshuffle the deck.
Oh, okay. I see 2 decks. Okay.
Yeah, so your card is an ace, and they got boom
a jack.
Okay, so you are up first. You can actually attack if you choose to. So one of the options you can do is because you've got advantage, you may attempt to distract or even ram another vehicle in the chase. That's the narrative thing. But what you could do is basically, can you think of something you would be able to do to give them a penalty on their next check? Because
I think I'm going to do something that's sort of in character, and I'll see what you think. But I'm going to use my my take this opportunity to cast my quickness spell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea.
So that I can sort of, move a little quicker and react faster when I land my teleports.
Yeah, I love that. So that'll go ahead and make your sorcery check for that.
Okay.
You know what? To be honest, let's make the check for it, and then we'll.
I just got a 4, so it's just a normal cast of it.
It's normal casting. Okay, cool. So you got 2. Well, if it's the mega one, you get 2 actions plus. There's no multi-action penalty.
Yeah, that probably makes the most sense.
And I'm gonna allow you to, because you've got the multi-action penalty. Like honestly, it only costs you 1 to persist per round, right? But you can draw on average about 4 PPE with an action to absorb energy again. So maybe what I'll say is it'll give them the penalty because you're able to sort of move faster. But also you will have capped out PPE when this chase is finished.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Right, because you can always take because you've got 2 actions per turn. You could effectively, like, when you feel yourself running low, spend an action to draw more power.
Right, use one of my actions to grab more PPE. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be at capped out. So okay, cool. So so that will be, because of the speed, you will now be giving them a -2 to their next check. So let's do that. So round 3. So 2. So I only got 1 success for them.
Yeah, me as well.
You as well. Okay, so you get.
This is a tight round.
Oh, complication.
Oh, that's a complication, a jack.
Yep. And but they got a complication as well. So, because it's a club.
Oh, the clubs are the complications?
Clubs are the complications, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you both suffer complications. You suffer a minor obstacle, and they suffer a distraction. So I think what happens for them is once again, we see sort of, it's an overhead shot, and you can see sort of the flash of light as you appear in each sort of location. But you can see their forces are all sort of closing in as well too. And they've brought in another one of those skull walkers. So this thing is stomping its way through the ruins. Then we see Zeke, go running along, and he leaps over the top of one of the things, running at full tilt, like a sprinter, an Olympic sprinter, moving his way through these ruins with the dog boys in pursuit behind him on sort of a half, biped sort of way. And then Zeke sort of stops as if he's sniffing the air, and he's like, there! And everyone sort of races over. And one of the power armors sort of, zooms in from the sky and then unloads with its railgun. And then what you have not seen before is there's as these missiles launch from the side as well, and explode out from this, this one sort of pile of rubble. And what you see scamper out from that is actually some kind of hideous, deformed creature, clearly inhumans. That was not you. And the power armor is called a Samus. A second one comes by and then fires down and eliminates this thing. And Zeke sort of looks back and he says, "It's not him. It's not him. Continue pursuit." So that was their complications. They got distracted. For you, a minor obstacle. Okay, so I think what happens is in the course of you're sort of having to very quickly make decisions, and I mean your mind is moving faster than normal, so you're sort of when you appear again, and then you again teleport and appear again. One of the places, unfortunately, you misjudged the strength of this place. You sort of like could not see an easy entrance, didn't want to teleport inside, so you teleported to the roof of this building that used to be like a 2-story building. As soon as you appear up there, you land, and then the roof kind of collapses, and you're starting to slide down. So I'd like you to make a agility check for me, please. See if you can catch yourself before you fall.
Okay. Oh, nice. Holy crap. That's a 13.
Nice. Okay, so what happens is you begin falling down. You first sort of kind of catch yourself, and then you realize that the thing sort of, it only collapses down a bit. So there's this angle, and it's leading down into this sort of the ruined remnants, and it's darkened down there, so you can't really see what's down there. You hear the screech of the engines of the power armor as it's sort of turning back towards you. You look up, look down, and you sort of look across, and you can see that there is the ruined remnants of a parkade nearby, and you sort of look back, look down, you let go, you begin sliding down, and then you sort of launch yourself up, and then there's that flash of light, and you appear in the parkade, which gives you a much better vantage for your next teleportation, so you get +2 to your next check.
Nice.
Okay. All right, so this is round 4, and let's see how they do. They're rolling terribly. I'm going to spend my last penny.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, they got 1 success.
Oh, that's good too.
And remember to add, actually, you're adding +4 to this result.
Yeah, that's a 21.
Holy shit. All right, so 21, 16.
It's a 19. Sorry, it's a 19.
19, okay, 19. So that still gives you 4 raises, or 3 raises. So you got 4
cards.
Yeah, so here's your results. Oh, Joker. Beautiful. Okay, so what happens with the Joker is you get a new Benny, you get a Benny, so you now have 2 Bennies. And I believe you get +2 to all trait checks this round. So your last one will get another +2 to it as well. And we'll figure it out. And they got a 6 of clubs, which is another complication. So they get a major obstacle. Wow. So they got to make, I'll narrate what happens to them afterwards, but you get to go first. So you have the advantage in this chase. So you sort of get up there, you've spied, like, holy shit, like you're within blocks of this place now. Of the place you're going to. So you draw your power in, and you reappear. And do you want to take any actions? Other things?
I want to use shock thoughts.
Okay. How would you use that?
Well, like to try and because it adds confusion to them.
It does. So here's what I'm going to suggest is because of where you were in the parkade, that you're higher up, you're actually closer to where the spotter is, the Samus.
Yeah.
So if you're successful in casting this on that thing, then they will suffer a -2 on top of their other penalties to their next to their final check.
Right. I'm just trying to exactly. I'm just trying to confuse them on which way I'm heading off of this building.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so go ahead and make your check, your spell check.
Yeah, I got a 7. So it's not a raise. So
you know what? Yeah.
Smarts check.
So it's a target within 40 yards. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so let's see here. Let's make a smarts check for them at -2. Fails. So the spotter is completely, we sort of see again that Iron Man view of the guy in the in the helmet, and suddenly his vision sort of like swims and gets all blurry, and he's like, oh god, oh god, and this we see the Samus sort of like weaving back and forth, and there's people yelling through to him on the comms, but it's just coming through as like garbled noise, like Charlie Brown's parents. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, what's happening? And he he sort of has completely lost track, so they will get -2 to their next and final check. Once you get that off, you complete your next teleportation. This will be your final check before you get to. And they have a major complication. So I think what the major complication is so they shot that one creature down, right? That sort of like it looked like if you combined like a badger and a cockroach, and then it was the size of like a small sedan. That's what they had encountered. So they've said like we cut back to them and they've said like, okay, go, it's not him, carry on. And then we see from amongst the rubble, you see one thing kind of disturbs, and then another one gets disturbed, and then another sort of pile of rubble gets disturbed, and we see that there's actually a whole fucking horde of these things that are starting to make their way out. And Zeke and the dogs and the other deadheads sort of look over and say, "Oh God, fall back!" And they begin firing, and these things sort of like start skittering towards, and there's this horrible, mass of chitin and fur and claws that begin sort of charging towards them. So let's make it a quick. I think I'm going to make an agility check, see if they can fall back in time for this. All right, so they got -4 to their next roll. They may have lost you altogether because of the perils of the Chicago ruins.
Nice.
You go ahead and make your check, and you've got +4 to your check. And then I'm just reshuffling the deck because we drew a Joker.
So that's a 9.
Okay, and for them, let's see here. They get, I did get a 6. So 9 -4 is 5. So they do get 1. You get a 9, which means you get 2.
Yeah.
So your cards are, hey! Oh, Ace of Clubs. Sheesh. Okay, so I'm assuming it's the Ace of Clubs, which means a distraction for you, and they got 3 clubs. Good Lord.
Oh, man.
So three of clubs is again a major obstacle. So I think that they're just overwhelmed by these things. That's sort of what
they're now in combat with these things.
Yeah, there's just this like you can hear a bunch of gunfire and stuff like that, and then the like they're calling in the Skull Walker sort of again. It's sort of like you can hear as their laser guns begin firing into this massive swarm of these things that have been stirred up. So they are effectively out of things, but for you, there's a distraction. And I think what you see is as you're making your way along, almost like a ripple on the you appear outside the apartment building, and you can see there's a you think for a second it's maybe a trick of your eyes, but you see there's a ripple along the ruined concrete, like something moving beneath the surface of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you gonna do? You find yourself there, and then you again are still maintaining your quickness. You raise your hand, and this blue white energy surrounds you as you top up your PPE, and you stand before the.
I think I'm going to use this opportunity to try and teleport. Like I've been just sort of teleporting, short distances, and now that I think that I'm within reach of this basement, and this Herald is hot on top of me, I'm going to try and teleport all the way to the basement from here because I see that the Herald is there.
Okay. So I think
I'm going to try and pour the PPE into this and do a long teleport for the last one.
Awesome. Now, because you can't see it, you will need to make a smarts check, but it's only a -2 to that because you've been there before.
Right. Okay.
So, and you get +1 to this from your staff. Remember, your staff gives you +1 to your spellcasting checks.
Okay. Well, I rolled an 8, so that's
good enough. Yeah. So and there's this flash of light, and you find yourself in that stuffy, collapsed basement that you were in before. You look around and you see the ruined, desiccated corpses of your former coven mates, and you then once the initial light sort of flashes, the flash of your arrival dies down, you tap your staff against the ground, and then there's that flash of light that occurs in the that weird mechanical, or not mechanical, the metallic cube at the top of your staff.
Yeah.
So you now have light in here. Would you make a notice check for me, please?
Oh. 8.
8. Oh, awesome. All right, so you can you look around, and then you hear sort of a bit of a skittering sound, and you look down. You can see that the stones around that ruined sort of circular depression in the concrete, they begin to sort of like skitter around a bit. And you've seen that before.
Yeah, he's here. Okay, I'll try to find the tome that I'm looking for.
Okay, so let's go into initiative here. Because your quickness is active, and because did you get a raise on the quickness or not?
No, it was just a regular casting.
Just right. Okay, so that means you don't get the benefit of that initiative card thing. So you just get your card you got. So you draw. Ooh, Jack of Hearts, and they draw. Boom. Ooh, 9 on escape. So you are up first. What are you gonna do?
Well, I did look around this room quite a lot previously.
Yeah.
So I might have a lot of good ideas of where the book is not.
Yeah. Well, you didn't also you didn't thoroughly search that workbench.
Right. So I'll go look there. Like I'm trying to also trying to remember where it was in relation to like when we were casting this ritual, like who was holding it, where it might be in the room.
Sure. I'm gonna get you to make a knowledge arcane check. I think that's probably your. Is that higher, or is your sorcery higher?
Sorcery is my highest dice.
Why don't you make a sorcery check for me? We're gonna. Will you use that for your? Actually, I think it's your notice I'm supposed to use, but yeah, use your notice. I'm going to use sort of a combination of your detect arcana ability. So you're trying to sense magic and sort of spot at the same time. So go ahead.
Yeah, which are the same. Those are both D8. Oh wow! I rolled a 6 and an 8.
Nice.
So that means I got a. Okay, the D8 is now a 15. The D6 is another 6.
Nice.
What? Okay, are these dice weighted? That is 23.
Holy shit. So sort of you like with razor focus, you sort of look around and then you don't know how you missed it before, but there is a old leather bound with metallic sort of clasps on it book that sits, covered with partially by a rag on the workbench.
I think some of the flavor here, Kev, is that like he has been doing nothing but thinking of this book since that camp when he remembered it. And as he's been teleporting closer, it's like it's been drawing him in.
I love it. You get a Benny for that. So you got 3 bennies right now.
Sweet.
Okay, so you you race over towards that, and that's sort of when this thing again arrives with that explosive burst of earth and stone that's thrown around, and shrapnel that is sort of thrown out. And this again, this sort of like pseudopod kind of center with all these tendrils that arc out from it, and at the very core of this thing is this sort of like grayish pink like musculature that covered by blackened bits of stone and reddish energy. So this thing sort of is swirling around and screeching in rage. It's going to make a notice. Actually, you're the only glowing thing in here, so I think it sees you. So it will lash out at you. Now,
Well, at this point, I'm like covered in electricity.
You are, yes. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I'll make the fighting check against you. What is your parry?
It's a 5 with the staff.
5. Okay, so it does hit you. It lashes out, and then the damage is strength plus d6. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so you're gonna want to make that's your toughness is currently a 6 because your armor isn't up. You did not tell me that you were going to do this, but this is your first time playing Savage Worlds in quite a while. Because of the sheer amount of ambient PPE that's here, you could have, in theory, easily maintained your armor throughout that period as well.
Right, like ever since I was shot upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, everything's been trying to kill me since I've arrived here. I may not feel safe without it on.
Yeah, and then what effectively means is you would be spending 2 PPE per round to maintain your quickness and your armor. But
yeah, like as long as there's not an extra level of concentration to that.
No, then
I probably would not have turned it off with the amount of PPE that's here.
Okay, so you're draining 2 per round, but I'm assuming that you've been appropriately spending the time, topping yourself back up with thanks to your quickness. So, so this thing does hit you, and you are shaken by it because it's 15 plus is 17. So you are shaken right now. Okay, so that is that round. Next round, you get King of Diamonds, nice. And it gets 6 of Spades. So you're up first. What are you doing?
Spend a Benny to not be shaken.
Okay. So you sort of this thing knocks you back, and you're sort of it kind of hits against the ward of protection that you've maintained. You quickly steel yourself, grip the staff harder, and what would you like to do? You've 2 turns.
Grab the book.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that the confined space of this basement might not be the best place to fight this thing.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do a short teleport outside of the building again.
Okay, give me a smarts check because you're teleporting somewhere you don't know with a -2. Well, actually, -1 because you get +1 to your spellcasting check.
Let's see. 12 -1 is 11.
11. Okay, so yeah, easily with a raise, you teleport yourself out. Calculate the cost of that as 2 less to cast because of your thing. Okay, so that's just a move. So you still have another turn if you want as well.
Yeah, I'm going to open the book and see if I can locate the spell that I'm after here.
Okay. I think that this whole thing is sort of it's both a tome to be studied to learn like binding and banishing magics, but it's also a vessel through which you can it was something that was intended to be a.
Oh, I see. So I kind of cast the spell similarly like the staff itself.
Yeah, think of it like it's sort of like whatever sort of arcane processes that you go through when you're casting your spell, but with the gestures and the language and whatever else. This is the written sort of matrices form of that through which you could, like a magical circuit, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, so but what I'd like you to do is give me an arcane, knowledge arcane check. Let's see if you can make sense of this. It was above your pay grade before, so I'm gonna give you a -2 to this check.
Okay, so knowledge arcane is D8.
You do have 2 bennies left as well.
Yeah, I got a 7.
Nice. Okay, so you got you think you understand how to use this thing, and I think that's the end of your round. So then for its round, it is going to make a notice check because it can sense through earth. Let's see if it figures out where you've gone. Oh, it explodes. Yeah. 10. Okay. So sort of lashes around. We can see the you know, the movie version. You see the rough red glow, and then it sort of explodes into the ground. You're outside, and you can you're sort of near where the ruined apartment building, standing in sort of the street, I think, or maybe on the lawn on the far side of the street. And you see this thing explodes up through the ground, and it's, you know, racing across the ground, leaving a furrow behind it as it makes its way towards you.
Yeah.
Next round, let's roll initiative or do initiative here. You get, boom, 8 of hearts, and the herald or the harbinger gets, oh,
Good job.
pack of diamonds. Okay. So it is up first. It is going to, if without a face or without a mouth, it's hard to tell how this is doing it, but there is this, you can tell it's a scream of rage that you maybe hear in your head as it races in towards you. And it is going to try and hit you again. So it's fighting and get the out of the way here, guys. No. So it sort of races in, and I've used up all my bennies. It lashes out with your with the tendrils, but you manage to get the staff up in time, and you sort of batter that aside, or it connects with the end of the staff, but doesn't knock it out of your hands. Oh yes, you've got the book in one hand and the staff in the other, so you sort of knock the staff back, but it protects you. Your turn. What are you doing?
Okay. Now I'm imagining that this warding or, you know, banishment thing that this book can do is some sort of a multi-level spell or something, or I'm not sure, but
yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll just use the mechanics for effectively for chase, and we'll sort of use that to narrate the struggle between you guys, because it's you're going to be locked in like a psychic sort of duel.
right. Like, so I'm rolling to like banish it from this plane, and it's rolling to attack me or disrupt it.
I think that it's all of its efforts will well, it may be able to attack you depending on the results of the contest.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
going to be
do it like the chase.
yeah, exactly. And then we'll do so we'll do 5 rounds again, and yeah, we'll see how and then if it gets advantage, then it may have an opportunity to attack you either physically or psychically. So
Okay.
this will be your sorcery, because you're trying to manipulate raw power, and it will be its spirit, I think, as the check. Because it's a spellcasting thing, I'll get you'll get the bonus from your staff, so you get +1. But go ahead and roll, and this will tell us how many cards you're going to get.
Oh yeah.
And we got
15, so that is
3 cards. Okay, so
yeah, 3 total cards.
does that include your +1?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, shoot. Okay, so you get boom.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Oh, it looks like it's complication.
Clubs. Okay, so it's complication. It gets boom 5 of spades. So
I beat it, but I got a complication.
So you got the advantage. So what you can do is, again, you can attack this thing using some of your magics as you can sort of picture that this is like a struggle taking place on the astral plane, and you could use your regular attacks against this thing, like your magics against this thing, in this environment in the same way that it could use them against you. But you did suffer a minor obstacle here, so I think what happens is you started pouring energy through this this device, and you've just dramatically misjudged how much power is available here. So what I think I'd like you to do is make a vigor check, and see if, because this is just you sort of like physically trying to manage the amount of power it's going through.
Right, all of a sudden, like it's like I've opened up this book to the ley line.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna spend a penny and re-roll that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I got a 5.
A 5. Okay, nice. Okay, so you succeed, even though we sort of see in the physical realm you're sort of struggling, and there's like veins appearing in in your forehead, and you can hear you're gritting your teeth, but you're able to sort of manage the sheer amount of power coming through. Um, okay, so you're at effectively at close range or at melee. So there's no penalties to try and unload on this thing. Do you want to?
Well, yeah. So like, what I'm gonna do is like try and divert some of this power through like a ball lightning attack.
Ooh. Well, a ball lightning, to be honest, if you're just wanting to do sheer damage, your lightning bolt does more damage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It does. If I
Yeah,
just do
like,
the single lightning bolt, okay, it'll just be like a single arcing lightning bolt.
okay.
So that is a 5.
Okay, that's a hit.
Or it's actually a 6, but it doesn't matter.
6, okay.
And so then it does 66 damage.
66 damage, yes, please.
All right, here we go.
Let's see, where's his touch?
66 is pretty good in this game.
Yeah.
7, 12, 18, 24, 28 damage.
Oh, shit. So I'm going to have to spend one of this thing's bennies to try and soak some of that. Let's see, his toughness is a 10.
Basically shooting actual lightning bolts at this point now.
Oh, it rolled terribly. Okay, so it suffers 2 wounds.
Oh, wow.
So you're sort of like, this electricity is arcing across this thing, and like bits of that charged stone is flying away and being broken off. That's it for that round. Next round, make another check.
That came out of a roll with 2 1s and a 2 out of the D6.
Jesus. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make your check. I'm like, I think we're going to, because we're getting up on the time here, I'm just going to...
Yeah.
10.
Oh, nice.
So I get 3. The Harbinger gets 3 cards this turn.
Okay, I get 2 cards.
2 cards. Okay, so you get, Jack of Hearts.
I got a decent card.
Shit, I reshuffled this accidentally. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm mixing up the cards here. Hold on. There we go. So the perils of having 2 decks on the go.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got that, and then I got 3 for him. So that's his 3. Oh, Joker. Excellent. Okay, so what happens is sort of you are you finish sort of arcing this thing, and then there's a flash, sort of a blinding flash, and you find yourself standing in what do you think Sam's favorite place in Chicago would have been? And I don't mean like necessarily like you have to pick a locale or whatever. I mean, like, would he like to be at a ballpark? Would he like to be in a library? Would he be in one of the busy downtown streets? Would he be with his cousin?
I think it's a coffee shop that he really loved.
Okay, is there like, does he have a girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that?
No, I think he's just a single dude. He's still pretty young, so.
Okay, so you sort of are sitting in your absolute favorite coffee shop. People are, it's the modern day and whatnot, and he, which you can see people going about their day. You're maybe reading a book of occult lore with a little snack half eaten and your half drunk coffee in front of you. You look outside and you can see the scenes. It's a beautiful summer's day, and people are making their way about the streets. And then you look back and you're sitting in sort of the corner of the shop. So you got a great view of all the sort of activity that's going on. And you look back, and there is you're looking at basically a mirror image of yourself sitting there, but in place of you, there is in place of your eyes, there is a featureless void inside it. And this copy of your doppelganger looks at you and says, "This struggle affords neither of us any benefits. Let us make an accord. I will offer you the past in exchange for the future. And you sort of instinctively know that what this thing is trying to offer, this thing has power over space and time, unlike anything that you've ever experienced. And what this thing is, you sort of now you see that there is between in the physical world, there's this massive bubble of energy that's growing around the two of you. And you can see flashes of different places. For one, you see sort of like modern day, like 21st century, Chicago. And then you see this like undulating realm full of like tentacles and anger and power and stones and whatnot too, that sort of closes and then opens up. And what this thing is offering you is the opportunity to return to present day Chicago. Yeah. But if you do so, it will shatter the realms between the this thing, the Herald's Master, and the realms of Rift's Earth. So if you agree to let him shunt you back to where you came from, this thing will step right into the future Earth.
Right. The Herald will have brought his master.
Yeah. And so he leans forward and he's enjoying the same little treat you are. And he takes a sip. He says, "This is what your heart desires, is it not?"
Wow, this is a really tough choice.
What care do you have for what comes?
Do I?
So you're sort of wrestling with this. And so in the movie version of this, you now have a clear picture of your master, the one who was the owner. So you sort of out of the corner of your eye, you see your staff sitting in like an umbrella bin. And you can see that you think it's maybe like your subconscious that's trying to play on your play a role in your decision making. What do you think your master told you about why you needed to bind this thing in the first place?
I think this thing is like, misery is its goal. And so it'll just bring untold misery to the world.
You know at this point it's beaten. So if you choose to, you can just basically forever shut that door for its ability.
Be trapped in the future.
But you would be trapped in the future, or you can take its
offer
and open the future up for this thing, and leave and live out your life such as it is in the past.
I think that it's a really, really tough choice for him. And I think he takes a sip of his coffee to enjoy it one last time.
Yeah.
And he says, "As tempting as your offer is, I think this is my destiny." And he, shunts back to the astral plane and closes this thing out.
Nice. So there's this. We go back to that scene where you're arcing electricity on this thing, and then you pull back, and even more power forces down into this thing. It's screaming, and we see in like three different, cutting back and forth between the scene in the coffee shop. He's now standing and screaming, and you're all alone in the coffee shop, and the windows, blow out. And we go to the scene of the astral plane where you're sort of scorching this thing, and you can see that its parts are all flying away. And then we see that the windows sort of to the different worlds that we're seeing are, fluctuating even faster. And you spare one last moment where you sort of, you see a window open, and out of the corner of your eye, because you're seeing in sort of three levels at this point, you see Chicago as it was for one very last time before when there's this explosion of energy as this giant glowing blue-white rift tears open above you, and this thing is, you know, pulled up. We see like reverse gravity affecting as this thing is being pulled up. Its muscles and tendrils trying to grab at the ground, all of which is being pulled up into this giant, you know, rift with power and electricity and whatnot, you know, coursing out. As it sort of shudders, it then, as quickly as it opens, it collapses shut, and there's a sort of echo of thunder that rolls out across the ruins of Chicago. You drop to your knees, almost completely drained of energy again, and the arc lightning and whatnot that was playing across you, it dies down. Your ward of protection has collapsed. Your lightning reflexes, or what do we call it? Lightning fast drops as well too, and you're drenched in sweat. But you have the grimoire of banishment with you. You have the staff with you. You stand up and you look around, and you know that this is now your home. What will happen to Sam, the ley line walker, next? We'll have to find out next time. So, for those listening,
wait, before you end the show,
yeah, of course.
I have a real quick epilogue for the viewers at home, out of character, just to explain the decision a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
It might be interesting. I think that the final decision for Sam, it was very close. He wanted to return home, but at home, he's sort of this like low-level magician. He's like, you know, one of many in this coven. He has a master whose staff and book this is, it would return to his master. And like you said, his spells are sort of always just been like little, they're much weaker.
Yeah.
And sort of the draw of power is what swayed him in the end. Like the power that he has in the future, he wants to see where that path will take him.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. So then I guess maybe the look we see on his face as he's starting to you know, make his way through the Chicago ruins to figure out where he's going to go next. There's a bit of a smirk on his face, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and then the what do you call it? He taps the staff against the ground. There's the flare of energy, and he disappears. And maybe that's the final shot we see of
yeah, you know where he reappears. He just teleports away.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that was a shit ton of fun. I'm gonna obviously wait for your confirmation, Jeff, but I would love to play this again, or to run this again. This was really a real lot of fun to prep and to run.
Absolutely, I like this game.
I love the improv element too. Like it's very fucking easy to improv this stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, this is we're gonna cut the recording there because Jeff's got somewhere to be. Yeah. So for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for part 2 of this Savage Rifts one shot. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the game or the session, or if we fucked up any rules, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section, and I will endeavor to respond in a timely fashion. Otherwise, we hope to see you again soon.